Hello. My love, mother's faith, Ly Tu Diep, and the problem of a third heart. In every mother's life, perhaps the most difficult problem is not asset management or lead $1 billion business, but it is time to put your trust in womb that my son chose to love. With James's mother, woman who has gone through economic hardships and tasted enough bitterness, the bitterness of business, that is even more difficult. She always believed that about a woman want to enter the world of powerful me, ot just heart, but also need courage, temperament and background match. So when James brought Tu Diep home, girl from the countryside, used to sell eggplants, pick vegetables at the market, that mother's heart does not smile easily. Tu Diep, gentle and sincere, carry in the eyes the beauty of purity like morning dew, accidentally became her unsolvable problem. Ot because she is not good, but because she is too different. Different from the girls she had arranged. Different from those who appeared at the parties. High class and completely different from what she thought to be worthy of you, my boy. At first she kept her distance, although James always used a determined gaze to protect the girl he loves. But deep in the mother's heart, there is still the anxiety that love is not enough. I know that the heart can love, but marriage needs more than that. Class harmony, understanding of culture, and the ability to stand firm amidst scandals. I am, but Tu Diep does not back down. She did not cry or beg, or try to change myself to please her. She just silently lived by kindness, modesty, and resilience of a girl. Experienced hardship. She doesn't mind sitting on the floor, kitchen to wash vegetables with the maid. Also do not hesitate to stand up to protect James before the gossip of partners. One day James's mother stood silently behind the door of the room, eavesdropping on a conversation between two young people. James, if one day mother does not accept me, do you choose to leave me? I don't choose anyone. You choose us. But I will also spend my whole life to convince my mother, because I believe Mom will realize that my heart is where I am most peaceful. At that moment the mother's heart was a little moved. She remembers the old days. She was once a girl herself, ot loved by mother-in-law. Now she had to hold back so many tears, trade youth for recognition, and now she stands there, accidentally become one. Third heart Chang between two lovers. She doesn't hate Tu Diep, she's just afraid. Afraid that his son will be hurt. She was afraid that no matter how much she loved the girl, also cannot step over the invisible walls of the world. Upper stream. But when he saw Tu Diep's eyes looking at James, warm and unpretentious, she understood that there were values that could not be measured by reason. And also on that day, when Tu Diep clumsily cooked her favorite chicken soup, when she timidly asked her if she wanted to have dinner together, she nodded. Ot because the food is good, but because she saw a simple effort. Boastful but sincere. Her son's love. It is no longer a thing to protect, but it is something that she needs to understand and open up to. Trust does not come from background, not from relationship, but come from the moments people treat each other with all their heart. Slowly Tu Diep. Girl with gentleness, like a white orchid in the guard. Fame eventually fades. Touch the heart of the mother that seems froze, because love sometimes doesn't need big promises. Just someone dares to love truly, and a mother dares to believe again slowly. But the days that followed, mother relationship, Diep and Tu Diep are no longer awkwardly distant, but cannot be called close. His mother still maintains a moderation, sometimes is a polite question, sometimes a meaningful look. But Tu Diep is not in a hurry. She understands the heart of an experienced and prudent mother like her. Time. More vivid evidence than romantic love. And then an opportunity, or rather a challenge, suddenly came. James' company is in the midst of restructuring after the event of capital withdrawal. An important contract with a foreign partner is facing the risk of collapse because of suspicion of lack of leadership ability and family support. Rumors spread fast. Many in the financial world are starting to bet on the fall of the young CEO. Hello afternoon. Spacious living room filled with soft yellow sunlight. James' mother put down her teacup, eyes looking straight at Tu Diep. First time so strict. If you really wanted to be with James, prove that you can stand by him. Owed only when he gives flowers, but even when his hands were scratched by thorns. Tu Diep is cold. He has to give a presentation in front of the board, executive and investment board, to retain the contract. Alone, he couldn't handle the amount of data and records piled up. Such substance. I was a senior assistant for many years. I know how much pressure that is. Stop it. Lower voice, can I help? Without complaint, without hesitatio. That night, Tu Diep quietly entered the large library of the James family. But she is not good at economics. The less clear the investment terms. But she has eyes that list, diligent hands, and a heart passionate enough to leer. She stayed up with him all night. Read each line of analysis, draw each model chart. Even took a warm towel to wipe his eyes every night. Too tired to get up. James's mother witnessed everything. Standing on the second floor, looking down through the wooden railing, she saw that the young couple did not need roses or wine, but still surprisingly warm. She doesn't say love loudly, but love with actio. By presence, quietly, like a small light bulb lit up James's tired room. The presentation the next day was a great success. Partners not only agreed to continue investing, but also appreciate the fighting spirit of the team behind James. And in a brief speech of thanks after the meeting, James said just one sentence that made his mother's heart flutter. I am just a boat, but I have a lighthouse in the harbor. Every time I get lost, her name is Tu Diep. That evening the family dinner was no longer silent. James' mother suddenly put a piece of grilled fish into Diep's bowl. A small gesture, but carries the weight of a silent acknowledgement. Mom, do I like this dish? Today Mom told the kitchen to make it a little darker, like the way my hometown uses seasoning, she said without looking the girl in the eye. But the voice has softened a lot. Mr. Diep choked up and only had time to say yes, and then bowed her head. Her eyes were teary but bright. The first love between them is no longer there. His mother is like some of her son's lovers, but two women together for one ma. Love in our own way. James' love overcomes the problem of the third heart. OT by winning but by understanding. Tolerance and a loving steadfastness. Tu Diep returns to her hometown, old doors reopen. The early summer sun is no longer harsh but dry and gentle. Tu Diep has urgent work, forced to stay in the city for a few days. So for the first time, his mother agreed to go back to her hometown with Tu Diep. An informal trip, just to understand each other better. Tu Diep in the car, James' mother was silent for quite a while. She sat upright in an elegant beige silk dress, light makeup face, eyes looking far away through the glass window. Tu Diep was so nervous that she couldn't hide it. Her hands were clasped together, a light sweat even though the car has air conditioning. She didn't know how to start. How will she talk about the past that she has kept hidden? But then she took the initiative to speak up. Mom heard the game. Remind me of an unfulfilled marriage. But Mom wants to hear it from you. Mr. Diep nodded slightly. A moment later, she spoke slowly but firmly. Yes, I got married at 19 years old. An arranged marriage. But they do not love each other. After 3 years of silence and indifference, I take the initiative to divorce. At that time, I was still looking for my parents. They went missing on a working trip to the border. Finally, James' mother turned to look at her. Oti angry, not surprised. Just a long look. Silent as if he was trying to understand each word she said. Finally, she asked, so what makes you still believe in love? Believe in your soul. A slight smile crept up the corner of Tu Diep's lips. Because love is not something people give when things are convenient, but when one has lost. Once hurt but still dare to step forward a guy. James taught me that. As the car turned onto the red dirt road leading into the village, she began to see things she never thought possible. A girl like Tu Diep can come out of there. Old thatched roofs. The Chicken Foot village road runs through. Simple people wearing conical hats bowing. And especially the small house covered with moss, where Tu Diep's old uncle is making tea. Wait for them to come back. And at dinner, when listening to my aunt talk about the days Tu Diep went crab catching. Catch snails, pick gourds, and bring them to the market. While taking care of the sick uncle, he asked everywhere about his parents' whereabouts. Mother's eyes were red. She looked at Tu Diep no longer. Girl who was married once, or as a woman full of determinatio, have a heart big enough to love, and brave enough to rise from the broke. That evening, as the two women sat under the porch, watching the thin moonlight shining through the areca trees, Mother gently placed her hand on Tu Diep's hand. Mom, I'm sorry I ever doubted you. You don't have to be perfect by someone else's definitio. Just love James with all your heart. Mom lost faith in marriage after Dad. James is gone, but today, I saw what I no longer believed. The revival of love between the two of us. For practical meanings from the story, don't be quick to judge someone by their resume or past. In real life, there are many women who have experienced broken hearts, but they can still be wives. Wonderful mother. Just need someone who is tolerant and trusts them. After a trip home, a hearty meal, sometimes it is enough to change the prejudice of a lifetime. Love is not just the hearts of two people in love, but also need openness from family, especially mother.